A few years ago, if you wanted to grow mushrooms, you had to learn. You had to fail. You had to understand at least a little bit about what these organisms were actually doing. Today, you can buy a bag, buy a syringe, follow some basic instructions, and have mushrooms in like a month. But here's the question. What happens when cultivation becomes so easy that nobody has to learn cultivation anymore? Tonight, Natural State Mycology and I are diving into exotic species, the future of the myco community, and what we've learned from growing mushrooms that refuse to follow the rules. Yo, welcome to the MycoGeeky podcast, where we explore the fascinating world of mushrooms and the people who love them. From expert cultivators to passionate foragers, we bring you deep conversations, cutting-edge insights, and everything mycology. Whether you're a seasoned mycophile or just curious, we invite you to geek out with us on the wonders of fungi and join the mushroom movement. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the MycoGeeky podcast, the podcast that goes deep so you can level up your at-home mushroom cultivation game. I'm your host, MycoGeeky, and we got a great show for you tonight. My buddy, Natural State Mycology, and I, we're going to chop it up tonight. We're going to talk about, let me put it this way. What we're going to talk about at the end inspired what we're going to talk about for probably the first 2/3, 3/4 of the show. He and I, we met for the first time. We were friends before this, but we met in Mexico, got to hang out, did that a few more times. And we're I would say aficionados of cultivating stuff other than cubes. So we're going to talk about what happens to you as a cultivator when you decide to grow a different species. There are more than one species of mushrooms. So, and many can be cultivated, as you guys know. Many of you guys do cultivate more than one species of mushroom. But for those of you who have mostly been dabbling with cubes, we're going to get into what happens when you try to grow something else, what the learning curve is, what's important, and what you get as a cultivator from that process. So anyway, also, just want to give a shout out to everybody who's been supporting me on the donation page. I really appreciate it. Man, working a lot these days, guys. Working too much. More than any hardworking, intelligent person should have to. And yet here we are. I'm sure I am not the only person who just feels like that they gotta do a whole lot just to get by these days. Hopefully that'll change someday. I know the mushrooms are definitely helping me, both using them as medicine and just cultivating them, learning about them. All that stuff is sort of my comfort zone, my solace, my happy place, whatever you want to call it. I get a lot out of that. Hope you guys do too. So we're going beyond cubes tonight. Why grow exotics? As somebody who's been on the show before once said, it's all got psilocybin in it. So who cares? If cubes got psilocybin in it, well, what you wasting time, geeky? Why are you growing those stupid zaps? Why are you trying to grow the K-rulescence? Why are you trying to grow the muliarcula? God, you can hardly even say it. Why are you trying to grow it? Well, as it turns out, like if you go to Baskin Robbins, right? They all got milk. All the ice cream's got milk in it. It's got sugar in it. But it's that last little couple ingredients that change everything. And as a lot of people I had met over the years started telling me, there is a different experience with different species of psilocybin-containing mushrooms. So after going to Mexico and seeing so many amazing mushrooms in the Psilocybe genus, it was just a matter of time. Had to give it a go. So let me, before I just keep babbling here, let me bring on our guest, the one and only Natural State Mycology. What's up, man?
Everybody? Hey, what's up, man? How are you?
Not a good living. Every time I'm like bogged down at work and stressed out and got 5 things to do in 3 minutes, and someone goes, "Hey, what's up? How you doing?" I just go, "Living the American dream." Isn't that what we're all doing right now?
That's a good, that's a good response. I like it. Living the economic dream these days. Yeah. It's no, it's definitely a time to be alive. That's for sure.
It
It's
is one of the times of so many times to be alive.
yes,
Yes.
that
Yeah,
is
man.
true, man. That is true. Yeah, everything you're saying in your intro really resonates, dude. I mean, I couldn't agree more. For me, all of this initially started. The fascination with mushrooms started back before I ever cultivated. I took a trip to Seattle when I was like 19, and just saw the diversity of fungi there, and kind of became enamored with it, and over the next few years kind of phased into learning foraging. And when we got to go there for the first time and forage our own, so like I had been foraging way before I cultivated, and it was just gourmets up to that point. So getting to go on that trip, that initial Mexico trip, and feeling that feeling of like I'm going to be able to take this and cultivate it. Like I found this in the wild. There's nothing like it. It's
There,
special.
yeah. I mean, what's like it is first you get that hit of foraging.
Yeah.
I roamed around the woods. I found a thing in the woods and I came home and I ate it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a little hit. That's a little
It,
excitement.
it is.
Um, but as you know, and I know, being able to swab a couple gills and come home with a measly little Q-tip and turn that into a flush of mushrooms is pretty cool. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight, is what that process looks like when there's not just a never-ending supply of um, texts and advice and do this and do that and follow
Yeah.
the rules. So we're going to get into that. Let me read some of my notes here. So I will say that I remember back in the day, Nikki Myco just selling swabs, right? Just all sorts of different swabs of different species.
Yep.
And, people talking about sclerotia.
Yep.
Everybody wants a little sclerotia action. You got grow some Mexicana,
Yeah.
some Tamps.
There was a
Um,
confusion with Tamps and Mexicana, where there were some Tamps that got or like what was it? Was it Tamps that got labeled Mexicana, or was it the other way?
Bro, I think you can
It was.
invent a scenario, and the Myco community has experienced
Yeah.
that at some level. Yes,
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did that. That was cool. That was all right.
Yep.
And the Mexicana were fun, but they're little. This was also my experience with pans. Pans are amazing.
Tiny. Yep.
I hated, I hated harvesting them. I hated drying them.
Harvesting them sucks.
And I had enough buddies who grew them, so I was just like, if I really need some, I'll just, I got friends in the right places.
Well, and they flush back to back to back. So like you do a big harvest, and then 2-3 days tops later, it's like, oh, I gotta do another one. Like,
yeah, because they're tiny. They grow faster. This
yeah,
is
yeah,
not the case with Zaps, although they are prolific in that way.
yeah, man, yeah, for sure.
So yeah, that for me, it was really, I did that before ever seeing them in the wild. And I mean, I'd never even seen a cube in the wild. I hadn't been down in Louisiana or anything like that, or
Sure.
Florida, whatever. And so, yeah, like you said, going to Mexico, seeing psilocybe in the native habitat, and just seeing that diversity, seeing so many different species, was inspiring. And seeing the beauty of them and the different morphology just got me going. Yeah, I mean, I swabbed this fruit. Let's give it a go. So
Well, the possibilities are just endless once you get your own landrace that you can work from, and it's like, yeah, there's just something that can't be beaten by, like you said, finding it yourself and taking it all the way from nature to a tub or a bag or whatever your fancy, a tent,
yeah,
whatever it may be. It's just such you almost can't even put it into words until you've done it, because it's just such a cool thing. And the same goes for gourmets. Like you go out and you find a awesome lion's mane growing on a log, and you go home and clone it. It's not the same as like going to a grocery store. You can go to a grocery store and buy some lion's mane and clone it. It's just not, it doesn't touch that experience of going into the woods on an adventure and finding something and going, this is my own, I found this. And it's
I
not even
agree.
about me. It's not like I found this. It's just like this is
Well, it
your
becomes a
own.
story.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
like your narrative. It has significance.
does. It
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
And then also, I think for me, the first trip that we did, our pre-trip that we did before we did our first Mycotrex trip, and we got to hang out with some of the guides and hearing them talk about different species and what their favorites were, and that cubes were like the bottom of the list for them. That cubes were like, well, that's what if you couldn't find any of the other cool mushrooms, then sure you do some cubes. But
Yeah. Even
that also impacted things for me a little
even
bit.
pans for them were like, meh, like
Yeah,
they just weren't. It wasn't
yeah,
something that they were after. Yeah,
yeah.
100%, 100%.
Yeah, and who knows? I mean, because pans are great. So
Yeah,
who knows if that is rarity makes it feel more special. That process is also set and setting.
yeah,
That narrative that you bring to the table
it is.
has an impact on that
Oh,
for sure.
100%. If you have it in your brain of this is going to be an extra special experience when you consume that medicine, you're obviously gonna, it's gonna
Yeah.
impact the overall experience. 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So
man.
do you think? So are they? A lot of people ask me, are they harder? Is it harder to grow them? And once you have the tech down, then obviously maybe not so much harder, but yes, right? There's more to
Yeah,
it. You might have to figure some things out on your own.
they're gonna challenge you a bit, but that's what's so fun about it. Is like
Yeah.
once you've grown 1,000 tubs or bags of cubes, it becomes pretty, like, I mean, look, I spent the longest time just delving into cubes and cube crossing. Like that was what I focused on for the first 3 years or more, was exclusively cubes. And so, at a point you get to kind of a stagnant level where you're just kind of like, yeah, yeah, I can keep doing this, but and I still love them. I still, work with them plenty. And in fact, it's still I don't know about the majority of my work. It's still at least 50% of what I'm doing. But, you reach a point where you want something more. You want that initial, like when you're peeking at your tubs and you're really excited to see stuff popping up. Cause that's really one of the funnest parts about cultivating is the surprise of like, the surprise and the accomplishment. Those two things are pretty critical for the hobby being so exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing, and this happens a lot. I've talked about this before. If you come in and you just get a guru and you just worship the ground they walk on and you do whatever they say to do to a T, you will probably have success initially pretty
Yep.
quickly.
Yep.
And it's easy for those guys to go, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Step out the way, mofos. I'm going to show y'all how it's done now.
Yep.
Until they get their first batch of contamination, and then they're in Geeky's DMs going, what's this? Oh, you ain't never met no web bubble before. Oh, I see how it is. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But look, like it's a process. Like it would anybody, if you've never golfed before and you grabbed a club and you put a ball on a tee and you just went for it, if you sucked, would anybody really be that shocked? No. Could you accidentally get lucky and hit that ball 50 yards?
Of course.
Sure, maybe. Yeah, sure. If you got any athletic prowess, maybe you could even pull that off. But when you need it to dogleg to the left about 15 degrees, that's going to take you a while to figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
It just takes time. This isn't like playing concert piano, but this does take some practice and you got to get some experience. So yeah, that's what I want to get into is just some of the experiences that I've had, you've had, and hopefully that gives some people just maybe a little bit more encouragement to give it a go.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Most of what I've worked so far with the exotics are subtropicalis and pans have been a heavy portion of that work. And then right now I'm working on trying to bag train Zaps and Muliarcula, and then I'm also trying to get Neohalopensis running. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but
been working on that project myself. Yes,
working
if
at
I
it,
could
dude.
get just a jar of grain to actually fully colonize, I'd be happy. Yeah.
So I've gotten past that, and I've got it cased. I got it up to the point of colonized, sub, and cased. Now it's, I don't know. It's been cased for, I don't know, a week or two now, and so we'll see what happens, man.
All right.
Not holding my breath, but
definitely don't do that. Yes.
No.
Cool. Okay, so that's a good smattering. That's more than a lot of people. You've definitely grown more pans than me. I ran them like 3 times and was like, okay, yes, I can perfect this.
Sure.
No, I'm not interested in doing that, so I'm good. Mexicana, a few runs of Subtropicalis, but I've been going hard in the paint with the Zaps, and I definitely feel like I'm making some real progress with the Zaps.
You are, for sure.
So we're going to talk about some of those things, and then just had my first flush K-Relescence, looking all right. Not Myco Zapotec level, but I got a bunch of fruit, so we'll take it.
That's a win. Yeah.
I
don't think anyone's at that level other than him. Like that dude.
I'm sure somebody. But
there are a few, but I'm just saying, like, that's sort of a, like, you got to be committing all your time and energy, it seems like, into like really dialing those in. And when you got a full-time job like both of us do, it's like,
it's fun. It's fun. It's challenging. Yes.
Yeah, it is.
But it's just like having another wife.
Yeah.
Constantly need something from you all the time. Yes.
Pretty much.
I have 2 of those things now. Yes.
Yeah.
And then when I'm at work, everybody needs something from me. Yes.
Yep.
All right. So that gives everybody watching just a sense of what we've been up to. And now I want to get into kind of the lessons as a big picture cultivator. What the different species were teaching you. What were some of the lessons? So, think to whatever your first exotics grow was. What did you learn from that experience? What did you learn from pans, etc.? Kind of walk me through just some of the big takeaways as you were rolling through the different species.
Talking to me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gotcha. I wasn't sure if you were like talking to the audience there for a second. Yeah, man. Sorry, I just got back from vacation a couple days ago. Dude. I'm still a little, like, 14-hour drive in one day. So, yeah. So my first exotics were pans, and I see we've got Pandalorian here. He helped me some on getting going on those, and and then I also just in general kind of figured out what worked for me, because they're one of those ones where, to be completely honest, I'm starting to think this about all exotics, but I started off with poo, just like everybody does, right? Like, that's the kind of the go-to sub for pans, and that's part of the reason I had avoided them for so long, was I don't want to run poo in my pressure cooker. And yeah,
you don't have to. Just listen to Rich. She'll just tell you, just put it in your oven instead.
My wife's not.
You don't want it. You don't want it in your pressure cooker. Fine, put it in your oven.
My wife.
Just buy a $20 oven. Keep it in your garage, dude. Come on, it's not that hard.
Yeah. No. That's I've got the pressure cooker in the garage. So eventually, that was where I went with it. Was just, all right, we're doing this, and I did the whole verm peat casing, all the bells and whistles, right? And first attempts were failed. Second attempts, I got full flushes, full trays.
So what'd you learn? What from first to second?
So first attempt, I tried to run them in tubs with a bubbler, and I didn't have the fancy. I never went all out with the exotic tub setup where you got the fan built in and you got the fogger attached to it, and like, it just seemed to me, if I was going to go that route, I might as well just get a tent, which is what I ended up doing. And I went way too big with the tent. I was like, my thoughts were, well, if I'm going to get a 10, I might as well get a 4x4. I don't need a 4x4. Like I'm not a commercial grower, you know. It's not like I'm out here trying to just doing genetics work. So
That's so funny that you just said that, because I'm sure there's some guy with a 10 by 10 right now in his basement because he's got nothing else down there going,
what did I do?
yeah.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah, man.
dude,
I went from a 5x5 to a 2x3. And the 2x3, I am now ready to pull all my exotics tubs out of that. So, yeah, it just depends upon whether you're running a tent or a tub setup.
for sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
But
Yeah, but yeah, the tubs I half-assed it. So it was you know it was user error on that was the reason for the failure. And I still got fruits. They were just a couple little tiny spaghetti fruits, and then it tricked out. So you know that was initially with pans, and then I jumped right into crossing pans after I ran my first few. I ran the ones that we found on that first Mexico trip. I ran those, and I ran TTBVI, and I ran no, and then I after running those two, I crossed those two. And I ran Nightcap from Australia. So I ran those three, and then I crossed TTBVI and El Tamarindo. I did a Mon cross on those, or TTBVI and Coatepec, sorry, which is the landrace, and did a cross on those, called it El Tamarindo, and I've got that one on like F2 now, I guess, and I'm bag training it. And it's going pretty well, actually. There's something I've noticed, and I'm sure you've noticed the same. There's always, oh, you can't do it that way. You can't do it this way. And that's kind of what I was getting at was like, you can. There are some things you cannot do, right? Like there's some things that are going to inevitably end up in failure every time. But if you've got a chamber for fruiting that can maintain the proper moisture and allow enough fresh air exchange, like the
yeah,
temperatures aren't quite as, it's not like we're dealing with gourmets that are super temperature sensitive. And even those, I'm starting to see that there are people who have done like heat tolerant, strains that people only grow in cold temperatures, where they're breeding them to where they can become tolerant to things. And that seems to be the case with pretty much everything, where you can, if you keep working it, and there are various ways of doing that. But for bag training, it seems like getting in vitro fruits is a real good, surefire way to get a leg up on that bag training. But I also moved away from poo, so I started running coir and castings, and just ice chest tech on that. So just and I use it for my cubes too. So it's a win-win. I use it for everything.
so just coco coir and worm castings.
Manure-fed worm castings, not just
Oh,
regular worm
right. Okay.
casting. Manure-fed, and
That's
I was
that's
told,
the workaround.
yeah,
Okay.
man,
So
yeah,
you
man,
don't use horse poop. You use the worm poop that's been chewing on horse poop.
that's it.
Got it.
That's the one.
Okay.
And I started adding in chopped hay as well, which I found to be hugely
Okay.
beneficial. Everything loves that. It just allows more airflow to the mycelium. It doesn't compact as much.
Mm-hmm.
So I think all around for me, it's been a game changer. Like, cause when I make a big ice chest, I use a huge ice chest. And when I make a batch of sub, I don't always use it all immediately. Sometimes I sit on it for a little bit,
Yeah.
and and so I didn't want something that I've got to sterilize, rush to use, and I've only got one pressure cooker. I'm not like, again, I'm doing
Right.
genetics work, so I'm not running the pressure cooker constantly, and I don't want to be. I don't want to be running 10 pressure cookers and doing, big blocks all the time. It's annoying. I don't like sterilizing sub. It's not fun. I want to do the fun stuff. So yeah, that's where I ended up on with pans, and now I've got like 3 or 4 more pan crosses. That's really my only interest in it, is running the things maybe once or twice from spore, maybe a clone, and then crossing and kind of doing some of that. But even like you said, pans to me are not, they're cool and all, they're potent, they're definitely, in their own league as far as that goes. There are some other exotics that I feel like maybe have a leg up experience wise, at least from a lot of feedback that I've seen, which is shocking to me because for so long pans were just this holy grail. You
Mm-hmm.
remember 4
Yeah,
years
for
ago, it
sure.
was like, oh, I'm growing pans. And like you said, it was the whole like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm growing pans. And so this whole time it's like, oh, pans, gotta grow the pans. And then yeah, they're potent, but it seems that, if they're consumed with the same approach that you'd consume anything and no expectations of like this is going to be, a lot of the feedback I've had and seen is I still got some nausea, I
Mm-hmm.
still got a body load. I've also had a lot of, they were not as emotionally connective.
Mm-hmm.
Like trying to think of a better way to put that. They didn't get as much of a spiritual experience maybe, or didn't dig as deep mentally. So more of just a surface level, like, yeah, they were great, they were, great visuals, all that, but I didn't get what I'm really wanting, which is that interchange, doing that work that
Yeah.
that so many get into it for. So you know, for what it's worth, that's kind of been my overall take on those. Subtropicalis is the other one that I've worked a lot, and also I should mention I'm running some Mexicana right now too, so I'm really excited about that. That's one I'm having trouble with, man. I don't know why. For some reason, and again, I'm trying to run everything in bags. I'm working hard to try and get a lot of this stuff bag trained. Subtropicalis has cooperated with me for the most part. I started with HVC, and because it's a more heavily worked subtrop, and
Mm-hmm.
so I figured probably better chances of getting that one running in bags, and was correct on that. It did pretty quickly decide to cooperate on the bag runs. I like bags because I was a tub guy through and through for the first 3-4 years of this, and then I always hated bags. Every time I had tried them, it was just failure after failure. And then finally, I was like, I think it's just that they're too wet. Because when I was running tubs, I was running my sub wetter than field capacity. I was going above because tubs breathe more and they dry out. I don't want to have to mist them, and it never seemed to hurt anything, and got nice big flushes out of it. And so going into bags, you have to be more precise with your moisture content. You can't be too wet, otherwise it's gonna muck everything up almost every time. So once I figured that out, bags for me really became like, oh, this is this is great. And no more tubs to clean, no more prepping tubs, just all around. That was another thing, just like running the pressure cooker. I don't enjoy that part of it. That's not the part of it that I'm in it for. I'm not in it for the busy work. I have enough of that. um, so uh, so yeah, the subtropicalis and the pans, both running on that same sub, both running in bags pretty good now. I wouldn't quite say I'm getting the fullest of flushes, but I'm getting pretty good flushes, especially with the pans, and the subtrops. I've had some really good,
Mm-hmm.
like, pretty full bags with them. With the pans, I have noticed less spore development for some reason. In bags, they struggle a little more with spore development, which is odd. I don't know if that's because of the lessened FAE, or if that's because of higher CO2. Haven't quite figured that out, but they seem to be adapting to it. With each generation, they seem to be like, all right, I'm gonna dump a little more spores, get a little bigger, get some more girth going on.
Mm-hmm.
They're improving. And then the subtropicalis, very weird, and I've seen this with zaps too. I know you've seen a couple folks, I think you and I have talked about, that have gotten zaps kind of bag trained. They exhibit very strange. So it seems like everything in section Zapaticorum, when they're running bags, they get real thick and like real strange shape to them, just blown out stipes. It's kind of cool. I kind of like it. They're still super dense and woody, you know, just like if you ran them in a tub, but they're not noodles anymore. They're these like thick, monstrous fruits. Um, and so yeah, that's been cool. But yeah, that's kind of really that's the extent of my exotics expertise at the moment as far as like stuff that I've worked. And I wouldn't even say expertise, of course. There's still so much to learn with both. But as far as stuff that I've worked a fair bit now, you know, for a good couple years, been working on both of those two pretty heavily. And you know, again, running them in bags at cube temperatures. I keep my lab at 68 because now especially now because I'm running cordyceps too. And so I keep my lab at 68. And so everything runs a little bit slower. You know, that's the main difference I've noticed. Pans took a minute to adjust to that temperature change. It took about a generation for them to kind of like, you know, figure that out. My first runs at 68 degrees, they ran pretty slow. It took them a minute to get going. And then once they did, they, you know, started popping up. But yeah, you know, again, it just goes to show like, you know, coming into pans, it was like, oh, you got to have them at 75, 80 degrees. You know, you got to do your tray with your poo, and you got to have the fresh air exchange cycles every so, like, it's got to be. It doesn't seem like that's the case. And I've got a buddy that's running them in tubs now too, just like cubes, literally running them in tubs. Just
Nice.
modded tubs, man. So
Yeah. So I know for example, one of the forays we went on 2 years ago, we're just in a cow pasture and we found, you know, pans next to poo. We found subtrops, you know, along sort of the shaded area adjacent to a tree line.
mm-hmm.
Mexicana,
Yep.
cubes, not that day, but in other similar fields. And
Mm-hmm.
so these things are all growing
Same environment.
very similar environments. But
Yeah.
I think the thing to point out is the subtle little differences of each place.
Yeah.
So, like a cube is growing directly off the shit,
Same
right?
with
Like
pans. Yeah.
or close or yeah, little
They're
maybe
right there.
not that heaping amazing pie all the time, sometimes a little bit more broken down. At least that's what I noticed.
Yeah.
And so one thing that I want to bring up is that when you see the stuff growing in the wild, it generates a whole different thought process around, oh, this is how this grows here. And when I'm out foraging, um, so I just went out after work today and it just rained last night. So everything was soaking wet. So I didn't go to the bottom of the ravine. I hung out on the embankments going down into it. And that's where I was finding cool mushrooms. It's too wet at the bottom.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yep.
maybe too dry at the top. So these are things that, and I just a quick little plug for foraging. Foraging does make you a better, more informed cultivator. You don't have to forage to grow and develop as a cultivator, of course, but
it's a blast, and you should.
Yeah, I do think it deepens that understanding a little bit. But I think for me, in doing any of these exotics, what it had me realize is how much autopilot we're on, because we're doing what we're doing because somebody told me to, or because that's what we do.
Yep.
I mean, you just put one shot glass of corn syrup in to make your drippy corn. You just cook for 3 hours because Geeky told you to, even though some other guy can cook for 2 hours and he's good. And if you're giving that guy a hard time, just leave him be, because if it's working for him, who gives a shit? But yeah, so these growing parameters are variable, and cubes are extremely forgiving mushrooms. The species is super, super forgiving. It will, I mean,
They just want a fruit.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's as if they're just designed to just grow through any shit that you put up against them.
Yep. 100%.
Any cow shit and horse shit and any kind of shit, they'll just grow.
Yep.
Everything else, a little more picky.
Yep.
A little more tricky and picky.
Absolutely.
So now I'll tell you, the one thing And before I got into cultivating exotics, I didn't care so much about my temperature. I didn't care so much about anything other than just do a few things and I get banging flushes because I figured a few things out. With the exotics, it's more oh, okay, well, so these zaps, they're from the cloud forests. It's a temperate environment. You do not need it warm. If you get it warm, you're gonna piss them off. You're not gonna get what you want.
Yeah.
So, like you said, the cool basements growing cordyceps, they're gonna do great in 68 degrees. They're not gonna have a problem with that whatsoever.
Yep.
Could they be a touch faster if you vacillated heat cycles day night? Yeah, maybe, sure, but you get to do that later once you're better than everybody else. But for now, yeah, just starting to think about some of those environmental factors, I think, become the big takeaways for growing pans, growing any other exotic as you're moving through. Let's say you do Mexicana, Tamps, then let's say you do pans. As you're going through this, you're adjusting those environmental parameters, and so you become more aware of that stuff as a cultivator and start thinking, oh, well, those are all the things I didn't have to worry about to get amazing flushes with cubes, because they will just take care of business for you no matter what. Not always the case with these more temperamental fruits, for sure.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. I mean, honestly, though, if you think about it, all these species that we found when we were on our Mexico trips have been in, like you mentioned, pretty temperate environments. The temperature there stays pretty consistent year round almost. Like it really doesn't usually get above 80, and that's like
Yeah.
at the hottest part of the day. And then at night it drops down to, 50s, 60s. And so, that was a big part of my thinking of, I feel like a lot of this stuff can be done around that comfortable temperature that I keep my lab at 24/7.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know that I need the tent. The tent may make it easier in the short term. Like it
Yeah.
may it may get me where I want to go quicker, but then I'm going to be stuck having to clean out a tent you know what I mean? And again, it
Oh,
goes
yeah.
back to the busy work. I don't want to be cleaning out a tent. I don't want to have to mess with my tent constantly.
Yeah.
Like for gourmets, great. If I need to run a tent, I'll run a tent. Like they're a little more finicky in that respect, because they are more seasonal and kind of have their quirks, it seems. But with a lot of these active species, it seems like they're pretty relatively uniform, man, like in what they like temperature wise. Obviously, like you mentioned, like the subtropicalis, the Mexicana, growing more on the perimeter of the cow pastures or horse pastures where they're not in the poo. They're not wanting that same nutrient profile out of your sub that, pans and cubes might want. I noticed a lot of the subtropicalis growing, especially with like oak duff. There was a fair bit of that, and but yeah, definitely some slight differences with all of them. But it seems like a lot of them are going to be able to be figured out. And there have been people. I'm not the first one, to be trying to bag train a lot of this stuff. There's a lot of people who have already done it and are already doing it. So.
Agreed. I would say temperature is probably overrated.
Yeah.
If you're worrying about that, I hope you worried about a bunch of other stuff before that. I would say fresh air exchange, however you're choosing to get it, surface conditions, which we can get into in a second here. Those are just play a much bigger role. Again, this is something that if you're out foraging a lot, you start to see all the little different ways that nature can be prime for, fruiting body formation.
Yep.
So some things need a lot of crunchy leaf litter. They got a lot of stuff to chew up. They got room for the mycelium to run. And they're happy for a while, but then they hit the game trail or they hit the actual trail at like a national park or a city park, and then they freak out because they don't have anywhere to go. They ran out of the leaf litter because it's just a dirt trail, and so they start throwing up fruits. These are all like little things you start picking up,
Yep.
or the underside of a log, and you just start seeing the little places that nature holds on to the right amount of moisture in conjunction with if you go foraging the day after a rain, you're seeing little mycena, you're seeing some cup fungus, you're seeing some trametes and different polypores start to get some growth going. But other fruit require more energy, so
Yep.
they need a lot of prolonged rains followed by a nice warm snap.
Yep.
And just the subtlest little things can throw that completely off. So, your Lacaria, or let's use like hen of the woods, what might have been a 30-pound flush off an old oak tree because it warmed up for a while, but then it dumped rain again. It's just threw off the cycle.
Yep.
So when you start seeing that over and over and over again, and you see when you get these gorgeous bouquets of cespitose fruiting mushrooms, or you just see a nice flush of boletes or something like that, you start paying attention to what the weather conditions were like and just how many things had to go right to get these big, great flushes of various mushroom species. So that directly applies to what we're doing here. And these bulk growers from back in the day, although, I mean, I don't know if that's a thing anymore because literally everybody and their brother is growing mushrooms now.
Yeah.
But back in the day, right, they had to run 100 tubs, 200 tubs, 500 tubs. And so they had to be beyond dialed. They did not have time to baby things. It had to be, I'm dialed for field capacity. I know how to spawn to bulk. I know how to homogenate my mix. I know how to pack just right. I got my micropore tape just right so that thing will perfectly evolve the evaporative process and get great flushes. Then Josh Walker of Lost Gardens came on and really got hard about surface conditions, so that he would go in and mist. And for years, people were like, if you're misting your garbage, you don't know what you're doing. Well, all you got to do is look at Josh's flushes to know that's maybe not true.
Yeah.
That guy is banging out fruits. Doesn't mean you can't bang out fruits without doing that, but he's doing it and banging out fruits.
For
So
sure.
that surface condition matters. That is what triggers those, back and forth evaporative processes is what trigger the primordia formation. And you absolutely have got to give a shit about that. Otherwise, you're just leaving it to chance and hopefully it works out. But if you want those great flushes, things have to transpire in sort of the right ways at the right time in order to get just a packed tub. It's all plays a very important role in getting what back in the day, on Instagram, if you saw just the utterly packed tub, that was just the penultimate, right? Look at that tub, perfectly uniform fruit. Nobody realized that guy was like mixing his spawn to bulk process endlessly so that it was perfectly homogenated
Sure.
and everything was packed perfectly. He used a liner.
Yep.
They have a perfectly planar fruiting surface, and they're obsessed with the surface of the cake.
Yep.
All those things with strong genetics get you those results.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Got it.
for a long time I chased the canopies, it was something I liked, but then I don't know, man, I reached a point where I would crack a tub and it would be that full canopy, and just it's kind of sometimes it's a little overwhelming. You know what I'm talking about? When you're
Yeah,
like,
sure.
"Oh, I gotta where do I start, where should I begin with this?"
Hmm.
And so these days I don't as much chase I don't need fruits, they just go in
Oh
the
yeah.
compost anyway. Like, and it's like just not, it's all about goals, right? Like everybody has different reasons for why they're doing it. And so for me, it's more about, can I get these things to grow within the parameters
Work
that
for you.
yeah,
Yeah, that work
exactly.
for you. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's, I feel like that's something that eventually is gonna be super beneficial if, you know, because oh,
That's me. Sorry.
okay. Feel like that's something that'll eventually be pretty beneficial, you know, if it'll enable a lot more people, I think, to get in to the actives, or not the actives, the exotics, with less fuss, which ultimately I think, like you mentioned, we're living in pretty crazy times where, you know, a lot of people are working a lot of hours, and it's nice to be able to, it's been pretty cool. Before, when I started running my tent's in my garage, and so, and I'm not gonna air condition my tent. That's crazy. Like,
Right.
I'm not doing that. I live in the South. It's not gonna happen. So I was limited. That was another kind of prod for why I'm doing what I'm doing, was I was limited to, can only run my tent in the fall and the spring. Other than that, it was like too cold, too hot. Can't do it those times a year.
Right.
So yeah, that really, that it was all these different things that just kind of kept nudging me towards, I got to do this. I got to go this route. And you know, for some people, I'm sure running a tent year round is totally doable. They can put it in a bedroom in their house, and you got a basement, you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
you can do it with those setups, but I'm just not in a position where I want to, you know, devote an entire room in my house.
Yeah. So this is something we've talked about before. Is this idea of everybody's home environment is different. Everybody's climate is different. You know, people in the north in the winter have basements that are running 17% humidity. If you're in the south, it's higher than that. So you have so many different things to worry about or to have affect your grows. Same with we could take the same spores off the same fruit, and if you're growing in the south of Florida and I'm growing in the Arctic Circle, different spores are going to germinate, right?
Yep.
Because this is the whole point of the spores, is they're just dropping spores. They're going, hopefully some of these mofos are gonna, you know, take.
Yep.
That's all they're doing.
Yep.
So some years you have things where, because of the shape of the hymenium, the fruiting surface of the mushroom, and the macromorphology of it, it is going to drop spores extremely in a restricted area to where that fruit is itself. And so you frequently see those things coming back over and over again in the same spots. Other things, snails eat them and they wander around. And there's a whole bunch of factors that affect where you're going to see something fruit. But at the end of the day, if conditions are right, you know, it's like 2 in the morning when you're 22 in college and you're like, tonight might be the night, might be going home with somebody. It's the same with them spores. I'm gonna float out here and drop here, and I
Hopefully I
might
meet
die,
someone.
and
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
I might meet another haploid.
Yep.
We're gonna get together and share
Getting
hyphae.
on. Yep. Yep.
Yes.
That's right, man. Yeah.
Um.
I mean, I think that's why it's so crucial, if you're trying to acclimate things to your environment, whether it's bags, temperature, you know, whether you moved and you're in a new environment, or you're just getting growing in your current environment, running from spore and then cloning your best stuff from there and continuing that process. Ultimately, you kind of have to do it that way. If you're just
Yeah.
getting a clone from somebody, you and I have both seen it 1,000 times. People buy LC from somebody, which anybody who knows me knows I'm not a fan of LC. Just not my deal. Some people love
We're
it.
gonna talk about that later.
Some people love
Yeah.
it, but uh, you know, like you, like you mentioned, those spores are gonna be variable, and you're gonna see what fruit's best in your environment, especially if you're running a germ plate. It drives me nuts. I don't know why. I can't. I've never been able to stand blind transferring. If I can avoid transferring from a germ plate and run the whole germ plate, I'm going to do it every single time, despite lesser yields, despite poor performance. I don't care. It doesn't bother me, because again, I'm not looking for quantity. I'm looking for quality. So, and you're going to get it every time. You're going to pick the best one. The clone may not, the fruit you clone may not look that exceptional, but
Right.
then when you run that clone back, you can bet almost every time it's going to be like, wow. And it's still shocking, like sometimes I'll pick a fruit to clone, then I run the clone and it looks totally different than the fruit did in the multispore run, because it's competing with all the other
Right.
dicaryons,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Man, I mean, look, you can have the exact same clone culture, and every once in a while it just does something else. Why?
Yeah.
Different environmental conditions. Maybe
uh,
there was a bacterial load you didn't know about. Um, a whole bunch of factors complain to this. The
yeah.
variability, it's like if a man and a woman have sex and make a baby, there's like a limited number of ways that baby's going to look for the most part, right? Whereas the mushrooms can just look so many different ways. They really, the morphology is very plastic. The traits that unify a genus and species are very specific. You're looking for cystidia on different surfaces of the gill. You're looking for the clamp connections in the context of different tissues in the fruit. You're looking for how gills attach. You're looking for general structure. Is there a central stipe? Do the gills radiate out? Are there any intervenous little gill ridges? There are just these core things. But once those things are there are so many other things that are variable. Color can be extremely variable in many species.
Yeah.
Size can be variable. I found, mega colibias that are this big and look exactly like deer mushrooms.
Yeah.
And then I found mega colibia that I could use as a freaking umbrella during a rainstorm. Like,
it's
but
it's
it's the
pretty
same
it's pretty
thing.
shocking. Yeah.
It's
No,
pretty shocking.
a
Yes.
1000%, dude. And I mean, yeah, even like morphologically, macromorphologically, you'll be looking at things different times of year. There are those mushrooms that you'll see that pop up, throughout the year, rather than having just that select window of the year that they pop up in. And dude, it's wild how variable some of that stuff, and from region to region. I think that's where a lot of this whole, like, the lumper splitter deal, where you got all these people wanting that it's a new species, and it's like, I mean, it's the same thing. It's just you just found it
Well,
growing in the UK. Like it's
right. Well, if the base pairs all line up, then it's the same species. And if there's enough that are different, then now you get to play the fun game of taxonomy and figure out how many base pair matter. And then somebody says, "Well, you should do a mating study." And then they go, "Well, we can't with this one. We can't even figure out how to germinate the spores." And it's a whole bunch of work, and not
true.
enough time to do it. If you want it easy, guys, go study chimpanzees or jaguars or flamingos. That shit's easy to figure out. They figured that stuff out a long time ago. They don't have any of the mushroom stuff figured out for the most part. There's a lot to it.
There is
Um,
a lot
Now,
involved.
I will say, to go into the germination spore stuff a little bit, I want to talk about the zaps. So, one thing that one of our guides in our trip in 2023 with Alan Rockefeller said to us, and he put out, I think it was probably one of the first grow guides, and that was like right before or simultaneous to when uh, why am I drawing a blank? Jordan Jacobs and Alan and all of them put out that, and Chris Pauly put out
Oh
the
yeah.
paper on sort of revisiting the cultivation of and the genomics of Zapticorum.
Yes.
Um, this local guy in Jalapa put out a guide, and it was solid. And one of the things in it was how he would germinate a bunch of spores and then sit on the cultures until something fruited. And if he had an in vitro pin on that, then he would trust, well, this is proven to me it will fruit. So
Yep.
that's the one I would run. I have done a lot of work for now 3 years on the stuff, and I can tell you conclusively that shit lines up. That is 100% accurate.
Yeah, man.
It is worth, and I mean, pans turn out to be this way too. Although I don't know, I don't think I've ever had a plate pin on pans beyond like the teeny tiny ones, maybe.
I've had quite a few, and
They
they're,
get
I mean,
big.
yeah,
They get
yeah,
bigger.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah. I've
all
had
right.
them
I
get
have not.
fully grown and dump. Actually, I've
Okay,
had them dump spores on the plate, and
so that's a good, yeah.
yeah, I mean, honestly though, pans are one that, similarly to cubes, if the conditions are right, they're gonna grow. Like, they just want to grow. You
Hmm.
know, they're a little more finicky with the conditions being right, but they want to grow. You know,
Yeah.
some of these others, it's like, yes, I agree 1,000%, dude, and especially for, like I mentioned, for bag training, cloning those in vitro fruits is pretty crucial. But even just for regular grows, like with cubes, I remember I keep a whole tub of plates. So when if I have to do a transfer of anything, which I try to avoid doing, if I can just, even with clones, if I can just run the T0, I'm gonna run it. Like, I have no
Right.
interest in trying to get gorgeous agar plates, just not my jam. Um, but that being said, if I have to transfer, I keep a whole tub of those those initial plates that I transferred from, and I just keep them in that tub
Right.
along with my other work, and I just let them sit there. If they pin, they pin. If they don't,
Hmm.
they don't. Most of the time, they do. Some stuff just takes longer than others, as I'm sure you learned with Zaps. Takes a hot minute to get,
Oh yeah.
yeah, you got to sit
Now,
on those.
so let me tell you about that. So the very first time I gave it a go with these things, I probably started with 6 T0 plates, so plates where I'm germinating from spore for new people watching. So it just means me taking a petri dish, somehow getting spores on it. So whether I'm tickling it back and forth with the Q-tip, whether I'm spinning it and tickling it, whether I'm cutting a little piece off and grabbing, dragging it, whatever I'm doing, I'm trying to deposit spores
Yep.
onto the agar, and then hopefully they're germinating. And what I would do is let them germinate until they filled the entire plate up.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would cut the outer edge of it and divide it into 4 sections. And then take that and put it in the middle of a new plate so that stuff, all the mycelium could grow off of that. And what I'm doing in that process is seeing how many dicaryons, discrete dicaryons, I have on that section.
Sure.
So then I'm waiting to see the strongest growers, because as we know with like Neohalopensis and Muliacula, the Arta agar is not about pretty and sexy, it's about fast.
Yep.
So fast is a benefit for some of these things. So I'm looking for any growth that's significantly faster and stronger than the others. I'm isolating those, and I'm going down till I have monocultures, meaning hopefully a discrete dikaryon with no morphology on the plate suggesting that I have more than one dikaryon, meaning there's no like border line that's separating 2 segments. I don't have just any weirdness, right? I got
Two
pretty
things shooting off that
uniform.
look drastically
Yeah.
different. Right.
So I'm not explaining to you. I'm just explaining to
I'm just
newbies watching.
reiterating. Yeah.
Pretty circles is basically the idea. I think the first go after doing that, I went through 30 plus plates. I was down to, I don't know, 6 or 8 plates. And I sat on those things just waiting for them to throw fruits. I had to wait 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
3 months. And then finally I started getting some to throw fruits. Not all of them did. If 2 weeks after the ones that didn't, I tossed them, because I'm like 3 weeks or 3 months, that's like already as long as I'm trying to wait for these things. So just toss the rest. And I have done that with multiple cultures from multiple trips from multiple people. And now I have, I don't know, 7 or 8 strains that are all proven fruiters. I can work that if you take an in vitro pin and put that on a petri dish. That will eventually pin off of the pin, and
Yep.
then those pins actually fruit faster.
They
Why?
do.
I don't know. I just fucked around and found out, guys. That's how FAFO works.
Yep.
And so I've been able to get the fruiting time down from what everybody said was roughly 3 months to 1.5 to 2 months on everything now. So that sorry, get a call from the mother-in-law in the middle of
You're
the
good.
show.
Oh
Um,
no.
it's all good. She's always calling. So anyway, a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So guess how proud you are when you finally get fruit. You are very proud. You're
Yep.
very happy because you did a lot of work. It's called gratification. The youngsters don't know as much about that because everything's now, quick, fast, fast,
It
fast.
is, dude. It's
Yes.
shocking how fast everybody wants everything. When we're all in that a little bit, right? Like it's tough sometimes to not, like when you go on a vacation and things are moving at a slower pace. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
but the cultivation really has helped a lot for me. I don't know about you. It's helped me a lot with that, to just learn to go take how long
Cultivation
it
is the
takes.
salvation,
Yeah, man.
brother.
Yeah.
100%. I don't know how many people in the last 5 years being around this community in a a visible way have told me something to the effect of, well, the medicine is great and it did a lot for me in the beginning, but now the salvation's in the cultivation.
That's where I'm at with it,
Yeah.
dude. I mean, I'm now, where am I at? 3 or 4 years, I guess, off methadone. And since our initial podcast all those years ago, since the initial talk you did with me, and still going strong. And honestly, I'm probably gonna get some haters for this. I haven't dosed in like a year and a half. I quit smoking weed a year ago. I feel great. Like,
Well, okay. So,
yeah,
yeah.
nothing wrong with weed. I'm just saying, it's, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going the opposite direction of the direction I used to go, if that makes sense. It's
Yeah.
been a permanent lasting change that I don't need to continue. I was never a microdoser. I was a heavy macro doser.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I haven't felt the calling of needing to continue doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Hang on, got an intruder here.
Man, see, guys, this is called real life. We're not just like Dave Chappelle or freaking whoever. We're just people in the basement, in the garage, doing this stuff.
Yep.
So what I want to do. So we've talked a little bit about how it's easy to be a cultivator of cubensis and not think about environmental conditions and not think about the nature of the mushroom species you're growing, and just following rules and doing what people say and not really knowing exactly why. The minute you grow something that less and less people have grown, which, God, I don't know what the statistic would be for zaps versus cubes, but historically, of all time, individual human beings who have ever grown cubensis versus who've ever grown zapticorum, I doubt it's even a thousandth of a percent.
It's
It's
fractional. Yeah.
very, very, very small amount of people have done it in comparison to cubes. There are people who have done it, and I listened and paid attention, and when I finally cracked the nut, um, what worked for me wasn't exactly what any of those people said. It was close, but it wasn't quite right. What worked for me was just a couple things a little bit different that I would have never figured out if I hadn't FAFO'd. So I want to move into uh, this idea of when you're growing exotics, you have to stop thinking about the mushrooms and start thinking about the mushrooms environment. That is definitely, doesn't mean temperature specifically, but you are definitely thinking more about with whether it's pans. I think you can cheat a little bit with Mexicana subtropicalis and doing just maybe one tech thing. Get lucky if you get a strong strain. But a lot of these other ones, especially ones that essentially nobody's fruited, or maybe one mythical human being one time ever on the shroomery, grew a tub of Neo halapensis. And so, it's been done, but who is that guy? We don't know. He disappeared. He's, in the ethers of time and space now. There's no text, there's no anything. There's just, this guy did this. Here's a couple things that he said, and everybody's trying and failing, so who the fuck knows? In that situation, if all you're thinking about is attack, it ain't there. So you have to evolve as a cultivator from someone who follows directions to someone who starts thinking for themselves. This would just be like a musician if you played drums and originally you're, let's say you're just playing a bunch of Police to try to get choppy on the drums, and one day you master, all the Police drum tracks, and you're like, look at me, I'm amazing. And then somebody goes, create an original drum part for the song, and you're like, oh, but I haven't figured that out yet. That's the next step, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
everybody that's growing cubes, that's like doing covers as a musician, and you're just figuring out what it feels like to do the things and get success. And the big thing in that phase is really just understanding the importance of when sterility really matters. How these are your babies and you can't just neglect them. Child Protective Services isn't going to come, but you're just not going to get fruits. 2, moving into, I'm thinking about, and this is what a farmer does, right? The farmer isn't growing corn. The farmer is worrying about his soil and his water and his drainage. He is only thinking about the environmental conditions.
Yep.
The corn grows itself. I mean, and this can be a metaphor for people. If we all had everything we needed, if we were all encouraged and nurtured, God, what would that world look like? I don't know. From the way things are going, we're never going to know. But so I want to start talking about environment, and I wasn't thinking of doing this, but I think I want to give it a try. I am going to jump over. Give me 2 seconds here.
Yeah, man.
I want to because they're not like perfect, but I got some stuff to show. So I'm going to really quick, I'm going to pull you off for a second. I'm going to pull on my phone so I can go show something and talk about something real quick, guys.
Do it.
Audio, video might not be amazing, but let's see how it goes. All right, let me pull a bunch of the stuff off. Okay, guys, let me. All right, so I am gonna pull on my other my phone camera and see how this goes. All right, guys, I don't know if you can hear me, but you get to see Geeky's basement. Just like I said, I am really just the guy in the basement. So here, this is this 2x3. Let me zoom back here. I got the little fancy dancy, I don't know, AC Infinity fogger. Got a little plenum going up there. And then that's feeding these tubes here, And as you can see, I got, let's just open it up so you can get a good look. So this is running on some new substrate. It's a modified version of like the fancy recipe Myco Zapotec uses. But I sat on it too long, and I think I gave the bacteria from the manure a chance to proliferate at a greater rate than the mycelium, and so this flush sucks, basically. But you see I got this bubbler tank. Try not to drop my phone in here. Got the little fan, and then the foggers are on either side. I have literally done, I kid you not, 7 prototype tubs, and this so far is the. All right, and then here is another, I don't know, this is like 5th or 6th fruiting of this stuff. But some more zaps. These are zaps from the hotel we stay at when we go to Mexico. These are some from that guide. This is, I don't know, 2nd or 3rd flush on that bag. But basically, all you got is a tub. And that tub, most of the time, is just got a pump pumping water into a reservoir of some sorts. And the colonization of the cakes are occurring in just in regular bags or regular trays, not in this environment whatsoever. Once you have full colonization, then you take the top off, you put them in these tanks and initiate fruiting conditions. Depending upon how things are going, I might or might not take the micropore tape off the holes. I got holes on the top, the bottom, all that good stuff. There is a lot to, and then you see it just sitting in water. I used to try to fight that. Now I just kind of go with it. I think it creates better humidity. But as you can see, this is super wet. And maybe I didn't catch it the first time. But I want to show you one of the things that have really been key for the zaps. Do you see the water? It is sitting in absolute pools of water along the edge of the bag. It's kind of hard to see those there. So this one's doing it. This is the position on the left that usually does that more. When that flush is done, I'll move this over to there. Anyway, all right. Let's get back over here. You guys can get a quick look at all the. Oh, I got this new PCR cabinet, super slick for doing all my little microscopy and stuff. And then, I should show you this. So this is, I would say, we'll see how I feel about this. This is the Myco Zapotec approach, where you're trying to wait till you get pins popping up, and then let me see if I can show this. And then you transfer to the other tub. So I got little pins. I would say I'm not so far a super big fan of this. This one seems to be popping some pins. But all these here are, hold on. All right, sorry guys. Let me shut this off. So see, there are ways in which there we go. There are ways in which I'm kind of doing my own thing, but I'm also still, people who came before me, I'm trying things out that they're doing, because to date, I mean, maybe some of my zap flushes are looking pretty solid, but I would still say the overall stature and look of Myco Zapotec's fruit are probably the most like nature I've seen that are grown indoors.
Yeah.
Mac Reddy has crushed the outdoor game. Happy Hyphae has utterly crushed the outdoor game with many, many species growing wood lovers outdoors. But in lab, Myco Zapotec is still pretty dialed. So I tried all those in those shallow tubs. That was all a blend of, I had like 6 different hardwood sawdust, wood chips, different like levels of broken upness of the wood, 6 different species, the well-aged horse manure, all the crap, and then I added a few extra things that I'll explain in a grow guide later to people. But I wanted to try that because I could slam out zaps and bang a tub with Coco Core or CVG, but they were not quite as substantial in size. And so I was like, so he really seems to think it's this complex substrate, so let's give it a try. Geeky got a fucking job. He was sitting on like 12 trays for too long and didn't in his head go, oh, but man, there's manure in this stuff. Only 10-15%, something like that, but just enough that there's some bacteria in there. And so the timing, you can't sit on this stuff. It's important to keep it moving.
That's why you got to switch to the manure-fed castings, dude. I'm telling you.
All right.
They don't do it like the manure. That it'll sour on you.
I am not loyal to shit. I can tell you that right now. I'm a nurse, so I already can't stand it.
Yeah.
I am all about trying the horse-fed worm castings. Yes.
Yep.
We'll give that a try.
But I feel like I genuinely I have faith that they're gonna eventually. I mean, there's some people who have been growing pans on them for a hot minute now in bags and getting flushes of, giant caps, dude, like almost cube size pans. Like, real good.
what's his name? Altered Vibes still uses poo, right? Or does he also? I can't remember if he has experimented.
A lot of the dudes who have been running pans for a long time, I think, are still just running, just running the straight poo. I don't know for sure on Altered Vibes, but I just know a lot of those dudes who have been doing pans for a long time. They've stuck to those tried and true methods, which nothing wrong with that. Why fix it if it's not broken? If it's working for you, but. Yeah, I'm with you, man. If I can avoid the poo, I'd like to avoid it.
Yeah,
But
and we all have different needs and why we're doing it, and the idea of bag training something might get you excited and might make somebody else go no.
yeah, some people hate bags, even if they can run them and they like running, not like running them, but if they can run them successfully, they still don't like them for whatever reason. They just they feel like it's just not the same experience for them.
Yeah.
Which, hey,
and that's really true. So we really don't know for sure. Again, to just beat a dead horse on the foraging, the substrate and the available nutrients therein dictate fruit stature, quality, all that stuff.
They do.
So there is a whole nother level and layer to this that we're not, we just haven't figured it all out yet. We don't know. So is there obviously growing pans with poo is a great move. I've seen truly spectacular trays over and over and over over again that way, for sure. That's a killer way to do it. But it would be a mistake to go, well, for sure, if you use horse poo fed worm castings, you will be missing out on something. Sure, maybe, but you also might be getting slightly more of another tryptamine alkaloid and less of a different one. We just don't know those.
The science hasn't caught up to that yet. No,
we just
100%.
Don't know.
You're dead on with that. No, and that's a solid point. Yeah, there are those variables that are still. Yeah. It's still too early on some of that stuff to know for sure. I've often found myself over the last year or two, for a variety of reasons, wishing that HPLC sequencing, all that stuff was more widespread and available, where that's something I've really found myself struggling with, is like, it's such a niche thing, and the ones who are doing it are all intertwined with cultivators, and you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of them out there that have probable biases, right? Like, it makes me hesitant anyway to wanna.
So sometimes there's that, and then sometimes they're just not as good.
Yeah, that too. They're doing it out of their closet. Yeah,
or they're just not. My buddy George Selhorn at Flourish Labs, he has a PhD. He's been working in biochemistry at a PhD level for 25 years. He wrote the protocols that other labs are using. His old protocols are the protocols that some labs are using as their main protocol, and he has his proprietary protocols. Only the problem is, all his test results are more accurate than everybody else's, and unfortunately, more accurate usually means lower. So he actually, through being a rigorous scientist, is hurting his bottom line. And that concept we can hit on a little bit later here, because I want to get into a discussion later about what is lost when we cheat.
Yeah.
What is lost when we prioritize one thing over the other thing, instead of just truly, FAFO is the poor man's scientific method.
Yeah.
It is definitely worth. Man, I'm getting feedback. What is that? I wonder, does everybody hear that, or am I just hearing that?
I don't hear anything. I don't know if.
I'm gonna see if people in the chat are hearing it. Do you hear like a little echoey thing, or is that maybe I'm turning schizophrenic at the age of 50? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, yep, okay, we hear it. Yep.
All right, hold on. Give me 1 second. Let's see if there's something I can do for this. All right.
Sweet Zap setup, by the way, dude. I dig it.
Yeah, so what's his face? Pheno Dreamers came out with this first.
Yeah.
And I tried a whole baffle. Man, that did not fix it. Hold on, guys. All right. God, I feel like that got worse.
It did. Now I hear it.
All right, guys. See, Geeky's been not in the action for a while, trying to figure out what's going on here.
Caught slipping.
Mm-hmm. Something like that. And then my stupid universal audio keeps updating all the time, and then I can't figure out what's going on. Let me turn myself off for a second and back on.
Hey, everybody.
All right. Nope, that didn't do it. All right. Let me look at a couple things here. StreamYard added a few things.
Yeah, I noticed it's a little updated, a little different.
Dear Lord, they better for what they're charging for it.
Someone said it's not loud. I don't know.
All right.
Like it's does that mean it's not very noticeable? Whatever's going on, is that what they're? Someone said it's riding a bike. What?
Jesse.
Can you answer some questions?
Of course, yeah, always, guys. All the time.
What y'all got?
All right. Maybe if I turn off automatically adjust mic volume. All right, I just turned off automatically adjust mic volume.
They said not noticeable. It's not that bad.
Oh my God, guys, it's driving me nuts. It's like when you make a phone call and you hear yourself talking back and they don't care, but you care and you're going to go crazy. All right. All right. Maybe I'm just going to turn myself down so I don't hear it as much. All right. Yeah, shoot on the questions.
Someone said, what's your favorite way to pasteurize substrate?
All right. Do you do it?
Pasteurized? Well, so I do what I referred to as ice chest tech, and I use a really high-end ice chest that's got a really good seal, and it's super thick-walled, really well insulated, so more comparable to like a Yeti cooler. I'm not going to spring for a Yeti, so it's like a knockoff Yeti. And then I use clamps to seal it extra well, because when I dump the boiling water in there, I can hear leakage happening. So I've gone to where I seal it, and it literally will stay pretty hot for at least 48 hours. So I think technically I do pasteurize, though I don't do it in any traditional sense. If that answers that. I think that would fall under pasteurization, correct?
So something like that. Yeah. Now the idea is it's supposed to stay within a certain temperature range for an exact certain amount of time. Something I never gave two craps about because I sterilized the living bejesus out of everything when it came to cubes. But because Myco's Apotec beat a dead horse about this proper pasteurization,
Sure.
I bought a couple things, and so I got a little heat mat that's used to like heat under tile floors and crap like that. And I now am pretty dialed for that. So yeah, you just got to look up and understand pasteurization and hit the numbers. You can also, most people don't know this, but for freaking $15 on Amazon, you can go buy a meat thermometer. The kind that you got the little digital readout, it sits on the counter. Then you got a little braided stainless steel wire that goes to a probe that you stick in your turkey on Thanksgiving so you can impress everybody. Or if you're like a meat smoker type person, then you're doing this every day of your life. But you can buy that for pretty cheap. And that's what I use to check my levels and control everything. So yeah. But if you want to, like you were talking about with the cooler for cubes, I used to do this back in the day. And if you wrap your cooler in a couple comforters, it will absolutely 100% stay hot enough for just long enough.
Sure. Yeah, this cooler is from like Walmart. And like I mentioned, it's like a knockoff Yeti. So it's got like a rubber gasket seal around the lid. It's a pretty thick walled one. And so even without wrapping it with anything, like even in the winter, I'll dump the boiling water in, seal it up immediately. I don't mix my sub right after I dump the boiling water in. I just dump it in and seal it immediately so it keeps all the heat in. And literally 2 days later, I'll go to stick my hand in to mix it up, and it'll be like hot, like it'll kind of hurt my hand when I'm mixing it still. So I think it's technically, I think it would fall under pasteurization, but again, I'm not actively pasteurizing, I guess, if that makes sense. I'm just doing it that way because it seems to work well for more nutritious sub and CV alike. I did find, I don't know if you've noticed, but I tried sterilization with nutritious sub a handful of times, and almost every time I got severe contamination of various kinds. And I don't know if it was from not testing pH. I've heard people talk about testing pH when they're sterilizing sub, or if it was from, I've also heard people talk about when sterilizing nutritious sub that you're killing off the good stuff as well, that there's some good microbes in there that you want to retain. Maybe you can speak to that a little more.
So yeah, the God dang it, this thing's driving me nuts.
It's still doing it. Oh man.
Somebody in there said that it happened after I did my stupid phone trick. I don't know.
I think I can address one question while you work on that if you want.
Go for it. I'm gonna try to remove my feed. Hopefully that doesn't end the stream. We'll find out here.
Creekside asked, have either of you guys fruited out lutefolus or other gymnopolis species? What's up, dude? I recently attempted both, failed at both. I know Geeky has run lutefolus successfully. I didn't really look into any proven techs for it. I just winged it. I did add some wood pellets into my sub for that one. But I got full colonization, fully colonized the cake, cased it, and then a matter of weeks later, both ended up tamming out on me. So I will continue to attempt, and I'd love to pick your brain on it. Was I correct on that? You've fruited lutefolus successfully, right?
Yeah, I fruited lutefolus.
Yeah.
I also am pretty sure I definitely made plug spawn and drilled a hole in a couple logs out in a park by my house.
Sweet.
And I have missed the flushes 2 years in a row. So
no.
if only I could be out in the woods constantly all the time, I would be set.
Right.
But yeah, that seems to be a problem.
I think they call that forest bathing now.
Yes, I literally would have to live next to the logs. And I have a little spot in my backyard, but it is not quite enough for I think the environment. So I left it somewhere where it has been fruiting. And
yeah, you got some pretty good little sections of woods next to your house, if I recall. You got a nice little area back there. But yeah, for certain things, not quite.
It's just a little too dry. Yeah, due to this global fucking warming, it's fucking everything up.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me see what I can do.
Let's see if we got any other. Knockoff Yeti stays hot for 72 hours. Yeah. There you go. It does. They really do. They work great. Tank steamers with hot water. I'm just looking through some of these comments here while you work on that.
Cool.
Ellen here, what's your recipe for manure-fed casting sub? Do you case with it too? Yes, I do case with it as well. And as mentioned, I'm currently running everything I'm running on that same sub. So cubes, pans, subtropicalis, Mexicana, zaps. I'm attempting on that sub as well. I don't know if those will be a success. It's still, time will still tell on those as they're a little slower, but yeah, as far as recipe goes, I've never been much of a recipe type when it comes to subs. I'm more of an eyeball it and try it type. Just to be completely honest, I don't have a measurement for you. I wish I did. I need to do better on that, on actually, but I do the same amount every time. And what I do is when I do a half a brick of the giant brick of coir, the 10-pound block. I do a half brick of that, and I add in my verm. do a pretty hefty sprinkle of the manure-fed worm castings. There's only a couple brands that actually state that they're manure-fed that I've found. Amazon has a solid brand, and you know, if you search for it, you'll be able to find it. But I just do a hefty sprinkle of those. I would say ballpark probably a couple cups of worm castings in there, and then I put my hay on top and dump my water on. But yeah, a couple questions on the castings. Yeah, Amazon. I can check the brand real quick if that would be helpful to anyone, but they're just right outside my door here. You having any luck over there?
I don't know. Nope. Guess
No.
not. I changed a few things, but it didn't do any good, I guess.
Oh no, dude.
Hold on, let me try a couple other things.
Pastor,
Sometimes this just happens.
it does. It does.
All right.
Doing it live.
Oh.
Someone said after the phone stream is when it started, so maybe it has something. Okay, you already got that.
But my phone is, I mean, I can, it don't matter. I think what it does is it F's with StreamYard in some way. Everything is shut down on my phone. Nothing is connected. I'm going to turn my Wi-Fi off. I'm going to turn my Bluetooth off on my phone. Did that? No, didn't do anything. Okay, I'm going to turn echo cancellation, background noise. All right, that's better. It's still there, but it is better. Okay. All right, guys, brands and all that. For worm castings, not sure if it matters. When you're talking about like giant bags of manure, it probably does start mattering not to buy Garbaggio, generic, you just don't know the quality of that stuff and whatnot. I do know most of the guys to take it seriously are buying or generating their own field aged manure.
No, it just flips it. Mountain Valley Seed Company worm castings. They're manure fed. That was the only caveat that I was told going into using manure fed worm castings specifically for pans was that they need to be manure fed worms, whereas a lot of worm castings they just feed them general compost. So you're going to get probably a different nutrient profile, I would imagine out of just general compost fed. So
great. Oh, I like Galaxy Solutions idea here. I agree with that. In the past, that has been the case. So let me try a couple more things. All right.
Crisp and clear on my end. I don't know.
All right.
See what they say.
So that did not make it better. That made it worse.
I wish I would get a kickback for the orders they're about to get. That'd be cool. I'd promote some worm poop if they pay me some money. I have no objection to that.
All right. Yes, I can talk about so the Ludifolius, by the way. So around here, I've never found Ludifolius in Northeast Ohio. I find Luteus all the time. Most people seem to prefer Subspectabilis and Ludifolius, if I'm remembering correctly. I have never tried Jim's. I grew some pretty leggy teeny cap fruits, which after my buddy on Instagram, Salty Unicorn, grew them.
Yeah, man.
I didn't even take a picture of it. I was so embarrassed. I was like, nope, we're not even, I don't want to remember this. It'll haunt my nightmares for the rest of my life. They need more air.
Yeah.
I don't even think if I ever get around to it, I'm pretty sure I can knock it out of the park this time, because now I got this tank that I can, I got 10 incremental settings on the fan. I can run a fogger or just the bubbler. The bubbler, let's just take 2 seconds to talk about how great a bubbler is. And shout out to Nikki Myco or whoever was really the first to put that on the map, but an aquarium pump. And if you guys want I can send you a link. I bought a fancy, expensive one, and everybody said it was quiet. It's not. It's loud. I did take it completely apart, and it does have a separate pump for. It's got like 10 feeds on it, and the feeds are set up 2 by 2, so one pump serves two things. I thought like, oh man, maybe I'm like radically under pumping air because it said it was like 25 liters an hour or whatever. But oh no, what if that's divided by 10 air holes? And anyway, it turned out to be okay. But no, I just found this other one. I think it's like $20. It's dead quiet, man. You can literally not even hear the thing. I don't know how they do it. So that would be my recommendation because the thing's on all the time.
Yeah.
Bubba 24/7. So you know, my wife works down in a office in the basement here, so it's got to be quiet. Kids are down here. My daughter's bedroom is literally behind. It's right there, guys. Right there. You're sitting in my daughter's bedroom. So yeah, things got to be quiet. Anything that's going on all the time. But yeah, the gyms. I think like um, a lot of these wild exotics, you know, you can anything that's not easy to grow that not a lot of people have grown is definitely strain dependent. So you can't just germinate one plate, isolate, you know, some mycelium from it, grow that out, and then go, oh, well, let's see what happens. This is pretty much what you figured out with Mon crosses. You're taking one truly arbitrary spore that you mechanically isolated or serial diluted out to isolate, which is still a mechanical isolation. You haven't used any sort of evolutionary tactic to choose that spore. It is
Right.
absolutely fucking random. And then
Yep.
you're mating it with another fucking random spore. So who knows?
Yep.
And this is why that pretty much fell off to Daimon,
Yep.
where you're just juicing up something that you already like. Let's see what happens. It's a cooler magic trick. You get results a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I personally, in Mon and Daimon crosses, haven't seen radically different morphologies.
Agreed.
I think a little bit different, sure, but not radical to the point where I still think that the average person that thinks the serious breeding techniques is just too much for them. I mean, if you are fruiting multiple tubs at a time, and those two fruits don't look the same, just double swab them. Just see what happens. Like it's no harm, no foul. And sure, so and so didn't genetically test it for you to supposedly tell you whether it's a successful cross or not, which they can't do anyway unless it's an interspecies cross, because that's the only way the haploid variation really matters. Anyway, we could talk about that another time, guys. But at the end of the day, it don't matter. It's just cubes. We're just playing games. Like just grow
Yep.
some mushrooms and see what you get. And you're either trying to share or sell something that's consistent or a crapshoot. Either way, like
I
it
I
doesn't
tell
matter.
people that all the time who are like, I want to get into breeding. Do I need to get a microscope? That seems daunting, or are hesitant about the, number one, it's not as complex as it seems once you get the hang of it. But
Hmm.
but number two, as you just mentioned, double swabbing is, in my humble opinion, I think it is by far and away the best method for new people who want to get into breeding to kind of get their feet wet and just get a taste of what it's like from a, you know what to look for standpoint, how to choose potential parent strains that you want to cross. There's a lot of things
Sure.
that still go into it that kind of get your feet wet and get you into that world. And it's easy. It's so easy to do. And in my opinion, if you run the germ plate, I feel like that's pretty crucial to a double swab, because, if you're
Well,
just
yeah,
randomly chopping off sections and you're going to run 10 or 12 different tubs and cross your fingers and hope for the best, there's a
yeah,
fair chance of failure. But if you run that germ plate every time, I've done a handful of those. Haven't done one in a long time, but because I ran the germ plate and I chose two parent strains that were drastically different, primarily one pigmented and one not, or, drastically different macromorphologies, it's pretty easy to tell, did you get it or did you not? But yeah, to your point of Daimon and Monmon, the only differences that I've noticed there would be the progression rate with future generations as far as variation goes. So like,
Yeah.
with Mon, they tend to start off really basic, and they're a little more stubborn to kind of branch off and give you unique stuff. I feel like they're a little more set in their ways. Whereas with Daimon, it seems like, dude, almost like a lot of the stuff on like F1 or F2, I'm getting albino, leucistic, variegated, like the whole spectrum. So for a lot of reasons, yeah, I agree. I like Daimon. I still do a lot of Mon, but more just for the fun of it than anything.
Yeah, so I would argue, and if you got a PhD in genomics or mycology related breeding projects, and you want to tell me I'm wrong, I'm welcome to be wrong. But here's what I'm going to say about all this. When you smear a swab into a gill, ever so lightly and gently, because guys, you don't want gill tissue, because then you're gonna get some clone culture in there. You just want the spores.
Yep.
So if ever so lightly you pull off some spores, I don't care how light you're doing it, you're pulling off thousands of spores in one stroke.
Yep.
So then you go to the other fruit and you pull off thousands of spores, and then you do that a couple times because Dave Wombat said so. You got to, and you get them all smeared together in there, right? And now you just got a shit ton of spores. There is definitely plenty of research that will suggest that it's genetically advantageous to want to diversify your genetic makeup. So it is likely that it will have a greater propensity to cross at least some of the strong dikaryotic cultures that come from that germination will be a cross of those two parent fruits. Then the trick is when you run a T0 plate to grain and spawn to bulk, what actually wins in the end? Sometimes it's just the cross. Oftentimes, sometimes you get one parent in the cross. Sometimes you get, I've seen Ed have tubs where you got both parents in the cross.
Sure.
I've never had that, but so this is more like how it goes in nature. You're making the spores compete. And so because of that, you are going to get stability and vigor. And unfortunately, a little bit at the expense of weirdness.
Yep.
But again, if you grew it anonymously, or if if it was an anomaly that you grew this amazing fruit, somebody just sent me a pic of this just most spectacular fruit I've ever seen. I think he's never gonna grow it again. It was a one-off. Who knows why it happened, but it's never gonna happen again, right? I've seen these rare, amazing fruits that just never come back ever again.
Oh yeah. We've all chased them. We've all chased our tail on those.
So you just got to know what you're trying to do. If you want to bottleneck stuff, if you want something weird and you want to run it 13 generations and really see what it's going to stabilize into, mon your life away, go for it. But you have to understand, what each is going to do and how much work you got to put into it after the initial cross to know what you want to do. And we definitely got way off exotics.
Yeah.
So sorry about that. This is what I do, guys. It's my ADHD. So anyway, let's get back here. So what I want to talk about now is this idea, and if anybody has any other, somebody asked about Ingelli. I fruited it twice. This is, and they were just gross, spindly fruits. So I got to revisit that. People who I've seen who have gotten pretty good flushes are literally like quitting their job, mortgaging their house, and just devoting their life to making this work. And
it's a hard one.
As soon as I say that, there'll be somebody in my DMs telling me how I'm totally wrong. great. But for the most part, I'll tell you what I'm not seeing: banging flushes of Ingelli from literally anybody. What I'm hearing is the folklore about how amazing Ingelli is. So great, guys. Let's get out there and get the work done. This is why the exotics cultivation is important. Is we just haven't cracked that nut. All the nuts are crackable. All the
I've
nuts are crackable. You
I've
just got to
seen
take the time to do it.
I can count on one hand the decent flushes, and again, yeah, I'm with you. I haven't seen any just packed houses of it, but I've seen some pretty good flushes,
Yeah. Hmm.
small fruits, and it seems to be very, very finicky,
Hmm.
more so than anything else in sections apotecorum as far as moisture being applied. Like,
Yep.
it's like once it pins, you can't directly spray them. You got to like inject water into the sub, or like it just seems to be one that cultivating it outdoors seems like it's
Crush.
relative.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then yeah, those
relatively.
are the good flushes are outdoors.
Yeah,
Indoors, that's the trick.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if I really closed the loop on the showing you guys that close up of all the water pooling up in the zap what was that?
Yeah,
Right? No,
Zapote.
that was like the bottom of a bag. Um it it's literally sitting in a pool of water. That
Fine.
triggers the strongest pinning.
Yep,
For sure for me, hands down so far. And
yep.
I mean, I don't got the time to put this up on to like upload this crap, but let me just pull a picture or two up so you guys can see.
Well, every time we found amazing flushes of Zapotecorum in Mexico, where was it?
Oh yeah, just soaking wet.
Soaking wet right next to a stream, you know. Oh, dude.
So that's full. Let me get a side view for you. Uh, mm, mm, mm. I let these fuckers go a little bit too long, but they're packed. They're almost as annoying to harvest as
Pans.
pans are. But
Are you aging your spawn? I've heard a lot of people working with Section Zapotecorum either aging their spawn or aging their cakes.
um, yeah, I put them in oak barrels with a little bit of wine and pair it with a nice Chianti. Mwah, beautiful. No, I don't do any of that shit.
No?
No, but I mean, I've talked 100,000 times about the newbie will, the second it's fully colonized, they want to run it, right? The
Yes.
second. I'm waiting for Blizzard White, baby. I
Yeah.
want, or whatever the version of that species of, you know, super white is. That's what I'm going for.
Agreed. Consolidated. Heavily consolidated and
Yeah.
happy. Yep.
Or like these look all right. But so overall, since I mean I have been blessed to be friends with cool guys like Gabe and get to roam around Mexico looking for these mushrooms, I've seen them in many different places, in many different sort of variations of a similar habitat, and I know they fruit off the side of the clay of like mudslide areas. That is not where I have found them yet. The closest to that would be like irrigation ditches.
Yeah.
I found them there, but
We
what I
did find some in
realized,
cow pastures
sure, yeah,
fruiting off little embankments, but they were, they were small. They weren't, and
yep,
they weren't amazing flushes like what we found,
yeah.
down low.
Yep. But soaking wet, man. My buddy in Costa Rica just found a patch. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but when I was talking to him about discovering the flooding, which I thought I had to correct because it was annoying the crap out of me, and I was like, oh no, this is actually going to be the secret to getting these things to pin well. He said, oh yeah, so the spot I just found, it's just never not wet. It's just soaking wet all the time. And there you go. So that's like the little nut on zaps. I've banged out flushes with coco core. Seems like I'm gonna start having success once I get my timing a little bit better on the fancier substrate. I am still really curious to see if it improves the stature of them. That one like slightly bacterial tub that is pumping out fruits, they do look a little bit larger in stature. So I'm excited to see how that all turns out. But So you just got to figure out what the nut is and crack it. If you think about the amount of man hours of growing cubes that humanity has invested at this point to build the collective knowledge around a very easy to fruit mushroom, um, we just have to spend more time doing more of that work on some of these other species. You know, guys like Altered Vibes and the Pandalorian and Natural State and all. There's a boatload of dudes on my Discord who now they all got their own Discords because they're good. Um, they're crushing pans. We're definitely getting pans totally dialed. Because now you have so Altered Vibes. I sent him a print from 2023
Yeah, it
and
was.
he grew that out and didn't compete with it because he knew his TTBVI was better. But then our trip 2024 he took, and we went to a different spot that year where we found pans in a different spot that year, and that's a notoriously good spot for pans. The locals know that all the pans and the cubes from that cow pasture are stronger, meaning that natural isolation, that natural strain of it, it is got more psilocybin in it. And sure enough, he won a cup off that stuff, off working that genetic. So you can find cubes in your uncle Daryl's cow pasture, and it might test one level. You can go to your uncle Billy Bob's cow pasture, and Billy Bob might have more potent cubes, even though they're 10 miles apart. Just I don't know. It's different cows. I don't know what causes it. Something natural evolution. Who knows? But these are all these little variations that we've beat a dead horse with cubes. We just have not yet beat that horse completely dead with a lot of these exotics. So what I want to talk about now is this idea. You know, you brought up LC, and I've definitely talked about what's happened with LC.
Yep.
But I want to get a little more big picture and just go, what do we lose when cultivation gets easy? So what do we gain? Because of course we want access, right? Like
Yeah.
that 80-year-old lady that sends me literally a formal email to MycoGeeky at protonmail.com saying I'm dying, I have nobody, I just want to experience this thing everybody's talking about, and I found your channel and I want to grow. I guess I want to grow mushrooms because I really don't feel comfortable getting them any other way, and so I tell
He
her
needs LC. Yeah.
get a LC, get an all-in-one bag. Cool, you got mushrooms now.
Yep.
That access is important,
It
but
is.
what also are we losing collectively as a community by just getting a boner over liquid culture?
Well, I think it ties into in general what we were talking about earlier with the culture and times that we're living in. Everybody wants everything now. And so with that, you lose patience, you lose the art of learning things where, I see all the time people with LC still, even after they've been preached to about tested on agar, they've heard it because everybody says it 24/7. You got to test
Mm-hmm.
it, but
Yeah.
they're not testing it. They still don't test it because that's the whole reason they're getting LC. And that's why it's easy for the
Mm-hmm.
LC vendors. So we're losing quality from vendors because the vendors are hucking LC. And like, let's be real, somebody who's got 50 jars of LC, all different strains, there's no way, like, I don't care how much time and patience you have, there's no way to ensure that every syringe you're sending out is clean. There's just not. And when you're selling it to all new people, almost every time, inevitably, when they come back, you're going to question, well, did I do something wrong? I didn't get any other. I did. I do like 2 batches of LC a year, and I'm doing a grow along in my Discord server of Neo Halapensis. I made an LC out of it because I got a plate pin of it, which I was beyond thrilled about. That was one that took like months and months to get as well. It's a real small group doing it. I sent out like, I don't know, probably 12 or 13 LCs total, maybe. And I tested it, retested it, tested it after the pull. You know what I mean? Like rigorous testing. Because I don't do LC, so I'm like, I want this to be, you know what I mean? Everything I send out, I want it to be clean, just like everything else. Still, one person out of all the people that got it, one syringe somehow was contaminated. I was like, all right, I'm gonna make you a plate and send it out. You know, like it just there's no. So yeah, I feel like that's definitely a drawback, and you and I both have heard and seen that time and time again. That
Well, it's flat out laziness. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, all y'all motherfuckers better just thank your stars that I didn't f with LC, because I could have put everybody out of business. Because I can do it. Because I just ain't sloppy. Because I've been in the OR, and I know what a sterile field looks like, and I know how to take that stuff seriously. It's just being straight up lazy. Let me tell you how simple it is. You can't just, maybe some guys out there telling you, well, if you let your LC sit for 2 years and you draw it up in the right size gauge needle and you squirt it here and then you do a backflip, you're going to get a monocaryon. Yeah, maybe. Cool. Sure. Maybe it's senesced and you radically neglected it and it's weak and it's prone to redicarytize. Sure. Of course. Whatever. Maybe that's possible. I don't know. But I'll tell you this, if you're trying to make clean LC, then you got to make LC a lot.
yeah,
And it's real simple. Grow your LC out. When it's colonized, then pull a batch, pull 20 and test one of them. Do it in front of a very sterile flow hood and, make sure you are meticulous with your technique. That batch, if your test plate comes back clean, that batch is clean. If you and then so let's say you're down to your last 3 of those, do another batch. Maybe this is your big batch, I don't know. And then test 1 or 2 out of that batch, and if those come back clean, and don't wait 2 days, wait 5 to 10 days, wait a while, make sure something doesn't rear its ugly head. Also, make sure your mycelium grows and looks like something it's supposed to, because that LC globby bullshit, when it first starts colonizing, you can't tell. You
yep.
can't tell. So, but if you're methodical about that and you test every batch you pull and you don't just do what all these people are doing, which is a one-off pull when they get an order, can't help you. Anyway, but it don't matter anyway, because it's called cheating and doing just getting somebody else's work at the end of the day.
Yeah.
The only reason you should be doing that is if somebody truly has a magnificent isolation, they should be charging a good price for it, and everybody gets it and then gets the joy of seeing that unique isolation. But these days, no one has any understanding of how much work goes into that stuff. So what is lost for me is actually the most important thing about cultivation, because it teaches you patience, it teaches you humility, it teaches you attention to detail.
Yep.
Makes you maybe a touch OCD.
Yep.
But all these things all add up to, at the end of the day, the most important thing, which is a relationship with it.
Yeah. The full process, its full life cycle. Yeah. Yeah, you're missing out entirely on that with LC. Yep.
Yeah, so, is it great if grandma can grow a easy bag and get some therapy? 100%. Yeah. But, the people watching this show are usually people with a real interest in the cultivation part of it. And, yeah, want to do that. You guys, I'm going to tell you right now, just because you go and buy every LC of every cool strain and grow it once, cool, you played Pokemon Go, and that is fun. I will still occasionally seek out a strain, a cultigen, to grow just because I want to see it for myself. But like that, that is a tiny fraction of why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's, anyone can do that, and everybody does it. The way cooler thing to do, the thing that will feel really good, is when you go to Spore and you are absolutely creating something, your own line. That is really important. But we're right now, right? What is this? It's a transactional community we live in.
Yeah.
It's a transactional plug and play.
Yep.
Right. This is
The
what's
hype
in
train.
it for me.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, man. Yeah, and
Oh,
like,
I heard about magic mushrooms. I want the best one now.
yeah, yeah. Let me get ape. Yeah. Need that ghost. Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, and we've all been there, right? We've all been when we first came into it. It was I think I bought LC from one person, that was Dirty South, and that's, he mentored me early on as well. I was pretty close with that dude. Luckily, his LC was great quality. It was excellent. Luckily for me, but yeah, it's just, as you mentioned, anybody who's serious about cultivating and really wants to dig deep and get into it, working from spore it's it's such a joy. There's just nothing that can touch it as far as, again, even if you run, I've done plenty of runs from spore that are fairly uniform, even running germ plates sometimes. You'll get, the variation, again, to reiterate, is not as drastic because you've got all these dicaryons competing with each other. So a lot of the time you're going to have to really have a fine eye for those details and go, okay, this one's a tiny bit different. Let me clone that one and see what comes of it. And you give that a try, it'll surprise you. It'll really shock you at how different that clone may come out from the fruit that you actually cloned when you run it.
Now, here's the other thing. And my buddy Fatal just made a comment about here.
What's up, Fatal?
Well, it's only the last half is what I'm going for here. Best advice is to get into water storage. So let me tell you this. You don't have to water storage everything. How special is that thing you got? Or, I mean, this is where it gets real philosophical for me, and you do not have to agree with me on this, but hear me out. Unless you just isolated something real one of a kind, and you've done this a while, and you've grown 100+ cultigens, and you've seen it all firsthand, and you just got something real special, and so of course you should be trying to preserve that in many different ways. But I'm gonna tell you this: my longest is almost 2 years in water storage, in slant storage with the stick. And every time I pull it out, it is not the same. I don't care what anybody's fucking telling you. It ain't the same. Put grandma in a freezer for 2 years and pull her out. She ain't gonna be the same. She been in the freezer for 2 years.
I've even heard that with LC as well. I've even heard that LC left in LC form for any extended period of time.
Well, yes, for sure. If it runs out of sugar in there, then it goes dormant, and and eventually just gets brittle and senesces. So anyway, but I bring this up because Fatal's like, you got to water store stuff, right? That's where it's at. Sure, but also let me tell you where it's at in old Geeky's opinion. Where it's at is, what's the next thing you're going to do? Like P. Diddy said, although quoting P. Diddy these days is probably not as cool as it used to be, but I'm going to do it anyway, guys, because I'm using them for whatever utility I can get at this point. He said it's easy to make new music. Or I'm sorry, I totally fucked that up. It's easy to make good music. Anybody can make good music. It's hard to make new music. So I say that because resurrecting that old stuff, if you can, cool. But where'd it go? Where did it even go? Where did it go, guys? I'll tell you where it went. It evolved. It mutated. It made some changes. You send it out to a bunch of people in a bunch of different places, and they did stuff with it. So I don't know, being super precious about that stuff. I don't know if you can ever stop that process. And I think that's one of the great things that working with mushroom cultivation really teaches you, is there's always another spore just waiting to be germinated out there. You think you've seen it all? You think you've seen the coolest thing? There's a spore sitting in your box right now, in your little storage box of all your little spores you haven't worked yet. That might be the coolest thing that any of us have ever worked. But if you're sitting there fucking nonstop preserving the couple, it's like the guy who, got a couple touchdowns in high school and, pulled a pretty girl, and it's all he ever talks about the rest of his life. Cool, fine. But let's work something new. Keep going. Let's keep evolving that stuff for sure. So some water storage, but also, man, the spore is where it is at.
That's what I was about to say. I'm with Jesse, who said that's why you take a print. Yes, prints. I'm all about. If I can print it, I'd much rather have a print over a swab set. I feel like the longevity with prints properly stored is superior.
Bro, so it's weird. I had a couple people, I was just giving out exotic swabs left and right for a while. And I had a couple people say that they weren't working, and then I went back to that same batch and they were working just fine. So who knows what that was all about? But man, I got the from 2023 when we went to Mexico, the guide, who I'm talking about, he gave me a print, and I'm still pulling fresh new germinations off of that thing, and that's 3 years ago.
Yep. Yeah. Great. I have noticed, though, the exotic spores, for some reason, especially like you just pointed out, in swab form, the spores don't seem to last as long. I don't know if it's a hydration issue.
Who knows?
Or what the problem is there. But in general, even with like cubes, I've had swabs that I've gone back to that are 2-3 years old, and it's hit and miss. I've had, and they're all stored the exact same way. I've had some that just nothing, no contamination, just nothing. And I know, pigmented stuff where there's good spores on there, they just refuse use softer agar. I've heard about people taking distilled water and sucking them into a syringe and pushing the plunger to try to force hydrate them. I've tried everything but that, and I mean, there seems to be no rhyme or reason, but prints are, I used to, initially when I first got into it all, I hated prints. I was like, well, I don't want to use a print. That seems needy. They're great.
The best thing about prints is that they are inconspicuous in a letter.
Yes.
That's the best thing about, because let's really spread the spores, guys. How much extra time does it take you to grab, 20% of your caps from a tub, throw them on some aluminum foil, literally just pepper that entire sheet of foil with spore prints and get it out to people, trade with people, or save it and give it away to somebody who's just getting into it. Sometimes getting a bunch of prints in the mail from somebody is all the motivation somebody needs to give it a go for the first time.
Oh, dude, that was like Christmas Day in the beginning. You'd get a letter in the mail with some prints or some swabs, and it was like,
yeah, exactly.
So
I mean, I get these. I just sent some stuff to some guy in New Zealand, and they worked out. And now he wants more, and I'm sending them, bud. Don't you worry. But yeah, every time I'm like, man, I wish I had more prints. But I mean, some things don't drop spores, so you can't.
That's the hard part.
It, but
yeah,
definitely. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe there's like some tissue paper we can smear in the gills, and we can make spore tissue paper smears or something.
So here's what I've done. If you have to send agar, if you don't have a choice, like if you don't want to, they don't want swabs, right? But they want whatever culture it is. You can take a wedge of agar, drop it into a Mylar bag, the little zippered ones, and then you just smush it in the Mylar bag and pop that in a letter, even if you're going long distance, you know what I mean? And I did that one time, not with a Mylar bag, but I just like made a vacuum sealed thing with my vacuum sealer. But yeah, the Mylar bag works, but I just been using the mini centrifuge tubes, and then I just use like 2 or 3 letter abbreviations, and then people get it, and then they go, what is this? And I say, show me a picture of what I sent you, because I can't remember, because I sent everybody too much crap. But Geeky's toning that down, because I'm over promising and under delivering these days. So I've been toning down the culture stuff. But yeah, I can send somebody in a small little bag 30 cultures, the old school
guys used to charge $20 a plate for that stuff, and I'm just giving away $400 worth of crap. Why? Because it ain't about money. Money don't make none of you motherfuckers happy. It don't. I mean, if you're broke as a joke, some money to pay your bills definitely gonna make you happier. I'm not trying to say that's not true, but just world. Maybe I can be Elon. Oh, I don't want to shit on Elon Musk for being a trillionaire, because what if I can be a trillionaire one day? You ain't gonna be a trillionaire one day. There's one of them in the fucking 7 billion fucking people on Earth that ain't gonna be you, bud. Hate to break it to you.
Yeah.
There's only room for one trillionaire. He's going to be running the whole world soon, guys. And then all those people that go, well, good for him. I'm going to slap y'all upside the head. That's all I got to say. Anyway, not trying to get too political.
No, you're good, dude.
Yeah, hold on. So yeah, guys, non-machinable stamps, that definitely helps. It's not a guarantee, but I probably mailed more letters than a lot of the people out here. Yep. And I've not had a single person complain about it. So
yeah, no issues here either. I use plastic shaft swabs too, so they don't get all busted up.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm almost to a point now of where I'm just gonna start sending stuff out free to a lot of people, I think, because I just after losing my Facebook 2 times, losing my Instagram 2 times, I'm only on Discord now. I only ever vended to pay for like coir and bags and stuff, supplies anyway. It was never about trying to like get rich vending. I don't know what people think they're doing with that. Like, good luck.
These days, oh yeah, that would be like you going, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna invent a car.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you do that.
Good luck. Yeah, good luck. Yeah.
So yeah. So I want everybody just to think about, and trust me, nobody you talk to who's done this for a while is going to go, I found the greatest satisfaction from generating liquid culture and selling it to people. No. That does not feel good. If you send somebody a print in the mail for free and they send you something, and they grow it, and 6 months later they send you a picture, dude, that shit makes my day, man. When people are just like, hey, check this out. People in my Discord, I'm giving shit away to usually the most, and they'll just hop in out of nowhere going, hey, check it out. I grew this, or, oh, I took that and crossed it with this, and now look at this. And, that feels good. That's definitely what it's all about for me. That informs why I'm doing all this stuff. And at the end of the day, if you do anything that forwards the understanding of mushroom cultivation, then you did something. You did something of value.
Absolutely.
You didn't just punch a clock. You didn't just make a bunch of money, up in heaven. If you wander around, if you believe in that sort of thing, the motherfucker walking around going, I made $18 billion and I did this. And everybody's going to be like, can we get this guy out of here? Like, this guy is annoying as shit. Nobody wants to hang out with that guy.
Yep.
Yeah, it does not matter.
It's not what life's about, man.
But we ain't got no time these days, Natural State. So, give me an all-in-one bag. Let's just get her done. Cool. Yes. And Rich said, well, it gets the newbies interested. Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, it does. Yes. Mm-hmm. But there's also a whole lot of lazy people in the world these days who need to be encouraged to try to do something more than the easiest frickin' way to do something.
Good for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. A little bit of challenge is healthy. It's especially with AI up and coming now, man. Everybody's losing brain power by the minute. It's we're gonna all need something to keep our brains working properly, and it's definitely one thing that'll help with that. Yeah, man.
I hear you. Yeah. So one of the things I want to close on is just rounding out the idea of, the awareness is spreading. The Myco community is getting bigger. There's more competition. I don't know, man. And some of you old school guys in the chat or who watch this later, feel free to chime in the comments or pop me a message. We can talk about it more later. I don't see as much new cool shit as I used to, guys. You know why that is? Because everybody's getting LC and nobody's doing any of the work anymore. Or at least not enough people are doing the work. So I never got into this just to do a quantity over quality game. This wasn't like, ooh, MycoGeeky wants just everyone to grow in all-in-one bags. No. I just wanted more people to have the freedom and ability to grow a good bag of mushrooms. And originally, I really just wanted that to be done through the entire cultivation process. Because back then, nobody thought all in one bags really were working. But unfortunately, and fortunately, they are. So, yeah, it's a starting point. It shouldn't be where you
Your
just
end
stay
game.
and just coast.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have the time and energy, if you're dying of cancer and you got 3 months and you want to do this before you die, okay, all in one bag it is. There we go.
Well, and
If you just
inevitably
got too
there's going to
much going
be,
on,
yeah, for sure. That's what I was going to say. Inevitably there's going to be those people who just don't want to, for whatever reason, get that deep into
yeah,
it. And that's great. Like,
yep,
that's
yep,
all fine and dandy, but it's anyone who's on the edge of like, should I or shouldn't I? You should. It's pretty great. Like, if
try
you
it.
feel like you maybe should try it out, because it's an absolute blast. It's
Yeah, that's what I used to say to people about bungee cord jumping until recently, and now I'm like, oh, okay, maybe we shouldn't do that. But
maybe don't.
try everything else at once and see what you like. You never know until you try it. The thing that you're the most afraid of, you give it a go, you might love it, but
Yeah,
you
man.
don't know until you try.
Man, my
Um,
my favorite thing, I think, other than, like you said, getting pictures from people of like, hey, check out this thing of yours that you sent me that I grew out. That's amazing. Love getting those. But then also, I've had quite a few people, man. I gotta shout this out because I've had so many people over the last few years message me and say, hey, I got off methadone or I got off Suboxone, and watching the last episode that we did where I talked about it has, that really helped encourage me, or just, I saw that these can help. It was cool to see that you did it too. Whatever the case, that has been pretty awesome to see and hear about, man. Like,
hey,
I,
bro,
uh,
some
so
people just think it's not possible, and then they see somebody go on a mushroom cultivation podcast and go, I got off it.
yep,
Oh, it can be done.
it
Okay,
can.
great.
It
Yeah,
absolutely can.
all that
Yep.
stuff can be done. I just want, and this is why I never sold out. I never, there was definitely a point where I was like, man, I want to do more with this. This is doing slowly but surely doing well, and a lot of people seem to really appreciate it. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback. I wanted to just create better content, and in order to do that, I definitely made a push to try to, get more donations, get more this, that, and the other thing. Unfortunately, the way the way the politics of the world is working out, that was not in the cards at that time, at least. Um, so now we're still trying to keep it going. I get a lot. I mean, I've had people been bugging me nonstop about
But you said,
when it's another show. When's another show? I got a show coming up. It's in the can. I sat down with one of the founders of Double Blind, and she just put out a book, and we talked about the book, and we talked about the state of things. And she's a really smart, really well thought out, a great psychedelic advocate, a great leader. I was very impressed. I had a great time talking to her. If only I had the free time to edit that thing down and get it in the can. But as soon as I do, that will be the next episode. I got in the works for a while an episode with the one and only Mushman 9000. He and I are working on a song right now. Y'all are not even going to be ready for this song that we're about to put out. It's going to be so cool. When is it going to come out? I don't know. When are these mushrooms going to germinate? When are the spores going to germinate on the plate? Who fucking knows? But we are working on it, and it is making progress. So This is definitely not gone. This is just having to slow down because I got less time than I used to devote to it, and the kids are getting older. They're requiring more time as well. So yeah, just the evolution. This is how all this stuff goes.
Real life,
You see
man.
all these content creators, right? Yeah, they do it, and then now it's a cliche. I'm quitting, and then you're like, oh motherfucker, you're not even quitting. You're just like doing something different because you weren't getting as much money as you used to. Ah, okay, I see. We're not quitting because I still love this. This is fun. This is, just like the foraging is fun, just like learning about taxonomy is fun for me. I'm just gonna keep doing it as long as it's fun for sure. Um, Speaking of that, if anybody wants to go hang out, I'm gonna be at the NAMA Foray this year. It's up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a lot of fun. If you have not ever gone on a formal foray and hung out with a bunch of smart mushroom people, this is definitely a great opportunity. I'm gonna be at the West Virginia Mushroom Festival Foray. That's I think in August, and we'll see. I might be going to NEF, but probably not. Also, check out the new channel, the Myco View. I've done an interview with Eva Gordon in her book, and I did a, I don't know, 10-15 minute video on hunting morels that blew the fuck up, man. I got more views on that thing than I got from all my MycoGeeky podcasts combined, man. Thing just crushed. All because I just, wasn't trying to show off my honey holes, and I actually taught people something about looking for morels. So go figure. People want
Heck
to
yeah.
learn shit. People, that's like that. What is that dude? Do you watch that guy on YouTube, Project Farm? Do you know
I
this
haven't seen
guy?
that.
Go check out Project Farm. This is a guy who will just be like, "What's the best duct tape?" Like all the shit your grandpappy or your dad talks about, right? It'll just be like, what's the best wax for your truck? What's the best wood glue to glue wood? And he just does all these tests. But it's pretty well done. It's not like NASA science level shit, but it's pretty convincing. And I have used his videos to make decisions and never regretted it yet. But the important thing about his video is bro does not stop for 2 seconds. There is not a minute of downtime. Every second in that video, you're learning more information and understanding about his project. I can definitely run my mouth nonstop. It doesn't mean I'm not as well edited. He is just every second is useful information. So I tried to do that in that video, just make it be real useful, real simple. If you didn't know jack shit about morels and you're on the East Coast, what to do. And yeah, I put it out at the right time, and it did really well. I'm hoping to do a lot more alpha taxonomy talk. Dude, guys, if you can grow mushrooms, you can learn taxonomy. You just have to want to do it. It's like everything. No one goes, oh, no, you're not going to be able to learn Spanish, Bill. Sorry, you can't do it. No, if you want to learn Spanish and you put in the work, you'll learn Spanish. If you want to play basketball, you might not be LeBron James, but get on the court 3 hours a day for 10 years, you're going to be all right playing basketball. I don't give a shit who you are. Practice does make almost perfect. So yeah, you guys, if you want to learn more, hopefully some of this stuff I'm putting out on the Myco View will get a couple or a little percentage of my mushroom cultivation people interested in broader alpha taxonomy stuff. And yeah, I want to hear back from everybody. If you're growing stuff other than cubes, tell me the story. You want to come on the show and talk about it? Let me know. Make a pitch. I definitely want to cover some new ground with content for the MycoGeeky podcast. So let me know what you're up to, and we'll do it. Anyway, with that, if you guys got any questions in the live chat, real quick, let me know. I will answer them in posts or.
I've had a few people asking how to find me these days. I'm pretty much just on Discord, and I have a Facebook, but I only post gourmet and foraging stuff on there and gardening. I'm growing a lot of super hot peppers now, and I'm going to get into breeding those as well. But and that's just for fun.
Yeah, the Discord. Yeah, that was me, dude. I tried to tag you on Instagram, and I was like, oh, I can't, but I couldn't. I couldn't Discord.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
So
But
yeah.
yeah, so I don't know if you're able to post my Facebook link at least, where if people want to message
Sure.
me, I had some people asking that had gotten stuff from me and had questions about it from when I was on IG. And so like Dr. Dooms was mentioning that. And so, yeah, and it'd be cool to reconnect with some of those people. It was, honestly, that's what I miss most about IG was I had some good friends that I'd
Yeah.
made on there
Agreed.
that, it's a bummer. It's unfortunate, but at the same time, I'm spending less time on social media, so got to look at that as a win.
Good for me, man. Every day I'm out in the woods, hunting mushrooms or hanging out with mushroom people is a good day. Yes.
Yep.
Agreed.
Yep. Exactly.
All right, dude. Well, it's good talking to you. We'll definitely be doing it again. If you guys want to connect with Natural State, I will try to get his Facebook up in the link. But you can also just hop in my Discord. He's just Natural State Mycology in there, and then he can give you a link to his Discord if you want to do that. And
it's pretty small. I'm more active in your server than I am in my own.
There you go. So there you go. Natural State has made a temporary home in the MycoGeeky Discord server. So just hop over there and you can find him there. Yep. Okay. I think we're good. All right, man. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
You too, dude. Bye, everybody.
All right, guys. That was the show. We're back. I'm gonna try to do these a little bit more often. People asked about a couple different people. Ed's teaching again. I don't think he can be as visible as he used to be. So, everybody that got to enjoy that period of time where you got to talk to him and all that, cherish it, value it. He is still on the back end of a boatload of episodes I did. I would say the vast majority of any of the information he talked about is at least broadly discussed on lots of old episodes. You can ask me specific questions if you have any. I think he still has a Rumble that has some or a good chunk of his videos. I'm not sure. I'm not on Rumble, but yeah, my ADHD, man. I can't be on just so many platforms before it just starts making me crazy in my head. So I am not on Rumble. But yeah, Dr. Rick, definitely can't wait to get him back on. Every episode was great. Go figure, a brain surgeon that likes psychedelics is a good guy to talk to. Definitely will be bringing him back on at some point. Yeah, I also want to talk more about the experience, some of the experiences people are having. I got a friend that I dropped the ball on just because stuff was going on, but it's a firefighter out of Washington or Oregon. I forget which state he's in, Pacific Northwest somewhere. But he's been doing a lot of amazing things with policy around psychedelics and stuff like that from his own personal experiences. So trying to bring more people on to talk about how to do more than just grow a couple tubs in your basement. If this stuff does change your life, definitely feel compelled to do more than just sit back and enjoy it. I think that's pretty much what has made humanity great over the years is, if the guy who invented fire just went up into a mountain and forgot about everybody else, that wouldn't have done anybody any good. So hopefully we can get more people contributing and wanting to do something else. Dude, it feels good. I don't care where you're at in life or what's going on. Trust me, I'm not top of the food chain in any way, shape, or form in life. I'm not at the bottom of the food chain. I've busted my absolute hump for a long time to get a nice little ranch house in a halfway decent neighborhood. And I definitely enjoyed some privilege to get there because other people who have worked just as hard as me don't have that. But I can assure you that no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what resources you have, it don't cost jack shit to be cool. It doesn't cost jack shit to be nice. And, just take a beat, and we do not have to commodify and monetize everything in our lives. Everything doesn't have to be a subscription or a password. We can just be human beings again. And if you're going to use AI, cool. Don't let it think for you. Treat it like a research assistant. Hey, go bring me back this information so I can think about it for myself. We all have brains. They all, most of us have a pretty tight range of IQ points, right? If you look at that bell curve, some of us are maybe a little more here than over there, but the vast majority of human beings have a very similar IQ. Everybody's capable and competent, and just maybe some people had better advantages than other people, but we have an opportunity to be a positive entity within this community, and in doing so, we make the community better. It's been pretty much my hope from day one, trying to beat out the scumbags that exist in this community. Also, just the tired people, the people that are nonchalant, don't give a shit. Life kicked their ass a couple times, so fuck everybody else. I totally know where that comes from. I have had moments where I felt exactly that way. But man, every second somebody's watching, every second we're practicing something. And, let's just practice being nice and treating people like humans and holding people accountable and encouraging people in the right ways. And if we do all that stuff, this community gets cooler. And that's definitely what I hope for the community at all times. With that said, hopefully you guys go grow some mushrooms.